What's up, everybody? I'm trying something out here. Yesterday I put out a video kind of talking about what I'm going to be trying to do here coming up in the next couple weeks. I'm going live right now just to see how this feels. Yesterday was kind of funny because I shot like 3 or 4 different versions of that video, and then I had to edit it and stuff, and I'm not really used to that. So I thought I'd just try talking, kind of maybe expanding on what I was talking about yesterday a little bit. Just wanted to tell you about my drive this morning, and what I kind of have to look forward, at least until lunchtime. Yesterday I told you I drive by about 5 to 10 memorials every day. So this morning, and it starts as soon as I go out my front door. And this one's kind of tough because I was a kid, I was 10 years old. But my mom and dad's best friend, Victor Ortega, was murdered by the Southgate police. He was kidnapped from our home, taken on a false charge to the Southgate Police Department jail, where they hung him in a cell. But they beat the shit out of him in our front yard, and that was the last time my family ever saw Victor alive. So every day I walk out of my front door, it starts, right? First memorial, or the first memory I have is them taking Victor when I was a kid. Took my brother to work this morning, and on our trip, I drove by the memorials of Jonathan Cuevas, who was murdered in the city of Linwood by the LASD. And then we passed the proximity of the memorial of Antoine Hunter, who was also murdered in the city of Compton by the Sheriff's Department. And then a little bit further down the road, we come across the memorial of Noel Aguilar, who was also murdered by the Compton Sheriff's Department. And his murder was actually videotaped, and it was one of the most horrifying, corrupt things I've ever seen. Noel was executed by an officer who had just shot his partner and was looking for some kind of a way to get out of it. And he basically shot Noel, tried to plant a gun on him, and then they bled him out right there on the scene, so he couldn't tell his side of the story. One of the neighbors had the courage to videotape it, and so the evidence was out there. And it's something that I highly recommend if you're interested in what I have to say or what we're doing here. Seeing that Noel Aguilar video will definitely prepare you for what we're talking about. And Noel's best friend, Jesse Delgadillo, was killed just blocks away from Noel was killed a year before he was. So that's my morning drive. Later on, I'm going to go to the market, and I'm going to drive by another one that fucking kills me every time I drive by it, which is the memorial of Michael Nida. He was murdered less than a mile from my house. I drive by his memorial every day, at least once a day. I get to see the spot where fucking Steve Gilly shot my fucking best friend in the back and let him bleed to death on the street within fucking total view of his wife, who was trying to explain to them that he was innocent. So yeah, every day I go by Mikey's memorial. And right across the street from Mikey, a year before they killed him, in March of 2010, the Downey Police Department also executed Steve Boers. With extreme prejudice and no mercy. They had a history with Steve. Steve made them look kind of stupid in an altercation. They didn't realize that they were dealing with a war veteran and a martial artist, and so he got the upper hand on them, and they told Steve that he wasn't going to get the upper hand on them next time, and when they caught him by himself and they had the opportunity, they just didn't even give him a chance, and they filled him full of holes. And they murdered Steve Boers right across the street from my friend Michael Nida on Paramount and Imperial Highway. So there's 2 more. And then later on today, I'm going to go get some food for my family. When I do that, I'm going to be going through the city of Paramount. Depending on the route I take, I'll either pass by the memorial of Oscar Ramirez, who was executed by the Paramount Sheriff's Department for breaking up a fight. That's all he did was break up a fight. But because of the way he looked and the way that they basically profiled him and perceived him as a gang member and a threat, a cholo on the street, they chased him down and shot him in the back while he was running away. In full sight of Paramount High School and a bunch of kids who were at softball practice at the time. And when you go, if you ever have an opportunity to, and you will, because we're gonna show you where they killed Oscar, and you're gonna see how close they were to Paramount High School. And he was shot during school hours, so there was a lot of kids who got to see that. If I choose to take another route, I'm going to drive by the execution scene of Ignacio Ochoa, who was also executed by Paramount Sheriff's Department. See how redundant this gets? But Ignacio was riding his bike, you know, and in the neighborhood that he's in, a guy riding his bike on the street is automatically profiled as a drug addict or as a homeless, you know, troublemaker. And I've seen it hundreds of times. I've seen people on bikes harassed by police officers because it's an easy pick. And so they stopped Ignacio. There was an altercation there. And they just shot Ignacio dead in the street. And then they said the old, he was reaching for my weapon trope. And this was before they stopped using it. They said my life was in danger. They said that, you know, all the same shit that they always say. And witnesses refuted it. But here's the thing about that, you know, that's why we always talk about getting to the scene as quick as you can and finding out what the real story is. Because if you look at my shirt, this is Martin Angel Hernandez. He was murdered in the city of Anaheim. Right away, the people who witnessed his murder, they said what happened. And the next day, within the next day to 2 or 3 weeks afterwards, there were raids, there was police harassment in the neighborhood, and the silencing and intimidation of witnesses. And so the only people who ever got to hear Martin's story were the people who showed up immediately. And God bless them for telling that truth and letting us go out there and meet that community and hear for ourselves what happened to Martin Angel Hernandez. Okay, and it also happened when earlier I mentioned Noel Aguilar. Okay, when my mother and I went to Noel's fundraiser the day after he was killed, his entire community said the same thing. They said that, you know what, Noel wasn't first of all, the sheriffs didn't even belong in Long Beach where they accosted him. Second of all, he was fighting them fair and square. He was fighting 2 cops. Okay, and they said right then, you know what, they killed that kid. They pulled a gun out and they fucking shot him and they tried to plant it on him. And it wasn't until 6 months later when the video came out that community was justified. That community was vindicated for the truth that it told. But once again, right after they started saying that, the sheriffs came into that neighborhood. The Long Beach Police Department came into that neighborhood, started harassing witnesses. And very few people were around to tell that story when it was time to tell Noel's story. Okay, so you've got to understand that just because the police tell you that someone was acting like a caged animal, like they were with Mikey, which was a lie. Mikey was afraid for his life because he was innocent. And he was getting bullied and harassed and threatened with a felony that he didn't commit, right? By a bunch of cops who could give a shit because look at him, right? He's their target, right? But they tried to make Mikey into a fucking monster after they killed him, right? Which is what they do, what they did to Ignacio, right? They tried to fucking make him seem like, oh, he was just, we were scared to death and it was a threat. Bullshit, right? They bully people, they antagonize people, and then when it goes too far, they just get to shoot them in the street, right? And then it takes me by my final memorial that I can think of before 11 o'clock, before 12 o'clock today, which is Bobby Henning. Bobby Henning was killed also by the Paramount Sheriffs. Bobby Henning was on a trip to go see his family. Wasn't even from here. Was from up north. Had a crisis, had a breakdown, had some kind of a mental health crisis. And the people who responded to Bobby's crisis were the executioner squad from the Paramount Sheriff's Department. And they shot this kid dead in the street. And from what we were told by the witnesses who came forward and told everybody what he saw, you know, Bobby was really had any clothes on. Bobby was freaking out. Bobby was not armed, visibly unarmed. But when the sheriffs released their story, Bobby charged them. Bobby was a threat. And when you look at this kid, he's beautiful. He's a little kid, man. He's a young guy, young father. You meet his family. You know, the dude looks like he's a sweetheart. And so, you know, if you don't stop and talk to Elizabeth and Everett, his parents, and you don't get to know his family, you'll just believe that shit. And you'll just ignore it. And it'll become another invisible fucking tragedy on the street that you don't see, but I see every fucking day. And the people that are out there who've lost somebody, they see every day, you know. Later on, I might have to go run some errands, and I'll go by the memorial of Tony Francis, who was executed out in Bellflower, right, for being the wrong color in the wrong neighborhood. And they stopped him. And automatically, because he was an African-American man and his black skin basically, you know, profiled him as some kind of fucking criminal. That's exactly how they treated him. And Tony wasn't doing shit but being free in America, right? And they fucking chased him down and ran him down with a fucking police cruiser. Yeah, so you know what? These dudes are out here right now, especially right now, you know, which is what I was talking about yesterday about Villanueva. You know, they're out there preaching, you know, their need to this community. They're out there preaching their necessity to this community, but they're really not necessary, right? What they do is they antagonize and they criminalize our community, and then they murder and execute us They put us in fucking jail. They lie on us. How many of you have family sitting in prison right now because a fucking sheriff or a police officer lied on them? I know people. I've been lied on. So I know it's true. Okay? So don't think for 1 second that these people that are out there driving around are protecting your community, right? And if you're one of us who've been traumatized, trust me, every time you see a fucking cruiser, and it's not because you're riding dirty and it's not because you're doing anything wrong, right? It's because you know what they can fucking do if they want to, right? Which brings me up to this. As I was driving home, I passed 2 fucking sheriff's cruisers, a weird ass undercover cop with a bunch of fucking electronic equipment on his fucking on his car, and the worst, which is school cops. I passed a school cop. Right? And every time I pass one of these fucking cars, I start shaking. I get PTSD, right? And because of my privilege, because I'm a light-skinned Mexican, half white, light-skinned Mexican, I'm invisible to these assholes. But God forbid, I had darker skin. God forbid, I looked like a threat, right? Like I used to when I was out there in the street protesting and they fucking stopped me all the time, right? My fear, my knowledge of who they are, would be probable cause for them to then antagonize me to the point of my own execution, potential execution, which I can testify has happened to me in front of my own house by the sheriff's department. Okay? So this is what we see every day. This is what the survivors of police terror see every day, everywhere we go, because we're not alone, right? We reach out to each other. Everybody's stories, besides 2 of these that I've told you, I don't know them personally, but I've met their families and I feel like I know them now. And I think that's one of the reasons why I feel compelled to have to start to maybe put some stuff on the record and to document some things, because there's things that I've learned and there's things that I've witnessed that I think I need to share, and there's also things that I need to learn, and there's things that I need to listen to, right? So that I can be more intelligent, I can be more aware of what's happening out there, right? I see, I didn't drive by his memorial today. But when, you talk about Compton, we've marched on Compton Sheriff's Department twice, right? We marched on Compton Sheriff's Department for Noel, which was beautiful. Noel's community is amazing, and they stood up for that dude, and it's one of the most beautiful communities I've ever seen, right? They have the potential to be the future of everything we believe in this country, right? Because it's a black and brown community standing together with love and solidarity, dude. And growing up where we've grown up and growing up what we know, that's the future. That's what we want. Right? We want those black and brown communities standing together and not letting the man antagonize us anymore, right? And fight over fucking table scraps, right? We need to be standing up for each other. And I love that. I love that fucking respect that I see in real communities who have real fucking problems, right? And then the other one I want to talk about right there real quick, Jose de la Trinidad, right? Jose de la Trinidad was executed coming home from a party, and he was just in the wrong car with the wrong dude. Right? And just wanted to get back to his family. He's probably scared shitless and got out to probably tell the fucking sheriffs, hey, I don't know what's going on. And it just fucking blew him away. And then he connects me to another story, to another case that I didn't drive by today, but is always in my heart, right? Which is Rigoberto Arceo, right? An x-ray tech from St. Francis Hospital, who was in the same exact situation, right? And met the same results. Also the sheriff's department, right? Now, my friend was killed by a municipal police department. Martin Hernandez, who is Sonia's brother, he was killed by a municipal police department, the Anaheim Police Department, who is fucking evil, right? So these municipalities are definitely accountable, and they definitely have to change. But when we talk about wide-scale police abuse, right, I don't even think about LAPD, even though they're obviously the poster boy. It's the sheriff's department, because they're everywhere. They're fucking everywhere, and they can go anywhere to get you, right? Ask Noel's family. You can't ask Noel, but you can ask his family. You can ask his friends, and they'll tell you, right? Fucking jurisdiction don't mean shit to these guys. When I got fucked with in front of my house, they were out of jurisdiction. But that didn't stop them from pulling guns on me. That didn't stop them from fucking writing me up, trying to write me up and actually try to get me fucking thrown in jail for some stupid-ass fix-it tickets. Okay? I live in Southgate. These motherfuckers don't belong in my neighborhood. But they were right in front of my house fucking with me, right? I got in my car, and I turned around, and there's fucking guns in my face. It scared the shit out of me because so many people that I fight for, so many people that I've learned about have been in that same situation. It's that fucking easy. It's that easy for them to decide it's your time, okay? Because they're a fucking gang. Because they're a fucking gang that starts in the fucking prisons. They start in the fucking LA County jail, right? They learn how to click up because they have the misperception that everyone's against them. These fools are just trying to make it home to their fucking families. People that are locked up, I don't give a fuck about these dudes. They just want to get home, right? But these motherfuckers want to play. They want to cosplay gangbangers, and so they go to fucking, but the difference is they get to go home. The difference is they've got immunity, right? So they get to gangbang with impunity. And then they get out on the street, and they have that same fucking attitude, right? That same fucking attitude. Because if you look at them as a gang, and you look at us as the other side, right? We're a gang of non-combatants. We're everybody I'm talking about here, whether they were affiliated with a fucking neighborhood, whether they were fucking who they were non-combatants at the time they were fucking killed, right? And you tell me another neighborhood, you tell me another army that gets to get away with murdering unarmed non-combatants over and over and over again, right? So we know that this fucking sheriff's department is a gang. We know that they're fucking conspire with each other to keep each other's fucking secrets and to tell each other's lies, right? And we know who they're fucking killing, right? Because everybody I'm talking about isn't somebody who went out in a fucking blaze of glory, who went out in a shootout, or any of the shit like that. You go out like that, we respect that because that's your fucking life, but we're not going to fight for you like you're a victim because you chose your fucking path, okay? I'm talking about people who wanted to go home to their fucking families at night, you know? And they crossed the wrong fucking cops. That's the fucking problem, right? And it's the fucking sheriff's department more than anybody who's fucking doing it, right? So yeah, any other situation, right, where the non-combatants, where the innocent victims are just getting fucking struck down, we would invade a country like that. We would take over a municipality like that in a heartbeat, right? If it was the other way around, right, and it was non-combatants murdering cops because we were scared for our lives, trust me, we'd be locked up. We do get locked up for that shit, and I can't even say stuff like that because I get scared that now I'm going to be in trouble. But trust me, I'm talking about a scenario, right? Because if something like that happens, we know what's going to happen to us. We are accountable to the law, right? We understand that if we commit murder, we're going to fucking jail. But these dudes, they know they're not. So what do you think? What decisions do you think they make when it comes to pulling a trigger on an innocent person, right? If you know you're going to get away with it, and you know that all your fucking friends are going to give you tattoos and fucking free drinks and fucking respect you, right? And you get to stay in your fucking department and pollute the mentalities of everybody else you come into contact with. Right? Steve Gilly, the motherfucker who killed my friend, he still gets to be a cop in Downey, right? He still gets to influence young officers. He still, and I hope when they pass by his desk, they laugh at him, right? And I hope that he's a fucking example of what not to be, but I can't believe that in my heart. I can't believe that in my heart because I know how they fucking talk and I know how they fucking think about us, right? That dude gets to prove to everybody that, hey man, you can shoot a kid in the back, you got 4 kids and a family, fucking union carpenter, going to his birthday party, and you're still going to have a job. So don't worry about it. You're going to be all right. And until that fucking changes, these departments are fucking illegal. These departments are extrajudicial, right? So we need to fucking call them what they are, right? And if you're a good cop and you're not doing anything about it, you're complicit. I heard, last thing I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to go because, I'm talking too much already. I heard a song yesterday by a new band that I just discovered. They're called Sleaford Mods, and it's called Livable Shit. And as a plumber, it kind of made me laugh, because when you talk about livable shit, right? It's kind of what we're dealing with today, right? And so the song basically talks about going to work in the morning, and every fucking day you go to work and there's a dude in the shitter taking a shit, and every day you walk in there you can fucking smell it, right? And it drives you fucking nuts because nobody likes to smell a shit. Not even plumbers. Trust me, we don't, right? But by the time it hits you, right, it's 30 feet away. You can live with it. You can smell it. I fucking deal with that shit, right? Because I got 30 feet of fucking fresh air between me and that shit, right? That insulation between me and that shit, I'll live with it all fucking day. That's the fucking problem that we're talking about. That's the fucking problem that we're talking about right now. That's called livable shit, right? These fucking officers, as long as we know they're not going to hurt us, as long as I know that my light skin privilege is going to keep me safe, who gives a fuck? I can live with that shit, right? It's 30 feet away from me, right? I'll put the lyrics up later because I'm not going to do it justice. I tried to rap at a city council meeting one time and I made a fucking fool of myself. But what I did say at that meeting was fuck the police. And that's how I'm going to go out today, right? Fuck the police. Stay with us. Don't give up if you're on our side. Don't give up if you feel like you're hopeless, right? Because you're not. It's about surviving this shit. It's about staying alive. So thank you for listening. Thank you for helping me out. And like I said, this is just practice because I don't really, I'm not really used to this shit. So thanks for being kind.